Alright, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you for another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Okwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're gonna go into famine. Alright, that there's gonna be no more, food and water, juices, coffee available for your your average citizen out here. Okay, because we're entering a time of judgment, which is spoken about all throughout the scriptures. And there's multiple judgments coming, as far as, martial law, World War III, pestilence. Okay, there's a lot coming down the pipe. All right, but in today's lesson, we're going to talk about famine. All right, because that's a terrible, horrible way to die. Okay, for you not to eat or drink, then you have to just watch your own body, eat itself and rot. Yeah, it's a very terrible thing. Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 16 and 17. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction. So the Lord is sending these evil arrows of famine. All right, yeah, because the Lord's gonna unleash, terrible judgments out here. I remember one of the titles for Yahweh Shai is the King of Terrors. All right, the King of Terrors. So Lord willing, going into this year, this new year 2026, it's gonna be one heck of a year, because every day that goes by, we're one day closer to Yahweh Shai's arrival. We're one day closer, which means that the times out here are just gonna get harder and harder, and the Lord's gonna unleash judgments out here. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, all right, which shall be for their destruction, right? Because if you're not part of the hopeful elect, okay, the Lord is going to destroy you and your family. Imagine you can't, you don't have no food available. All right, well, how about watching your sons or your daughters, telling you all, hey dad, hey mom, I'm hungry, and you have to see them just, crying with pain until they die. Imagine. All right, so it's that's coming back in a major way. All right, because in these big cities in America, all right, there's all kinds of people here. You even packed like sardines. Because everybody, the majority of people here, live in these big old cities. And there's so many people here. You got something called like apartments, because you got people living on top of one another. Okay, that's how much people are here in these cities, that they're literally living on top of each other, packed like sardines. You see? All right, so once the Lord Yahweh Shai, okay, has these elites cut off the food supply, because he's gonna. All right, remember, the elites are controlled by Yahweh Shai. So that time is coming. Not only that, but the Lord is going to, bring His own, famine, plagues. He's not just going to use the left hand side, you know, which is the so-called white man, the Edomites. All right, how they're pushing for the New World Order. Okay, the Lord bringing His own plagues and famine. Remember how the time of ancient Egypt when Moses, when he plagued the water, and turned the water into blood red. They couldn't drink it. And then all the pots that they had, all the pots and vessels that they had inside their homes and all that. Okay, they had in their temples. All right, that they had water. It was all polluted as well. All right, so remember that. So let's say if like you have, like you're a prepper, and you have like a bunch of food and water like in your garage. Let's say like you're prepping, you're like, hey, you know what? You're trying to survive, doomsday, like those doomsday preppers out there, the Lord can plague everybody's food. So that way, everybody who has, like doomsday preppers, people who prep and stuff like that, who have like, rooms of waters and stuff like that, and food, the Lord can just plague it. He can turn all that into like maggots. He can turn it into worms. Okay, the Lord's gonna show out here. So a lot of people that are not part of the hopeful elect who are prepping, it's a lot of you guys are prepping for no reason. Because remember, the Lord's gonna intervene. This is it's a very heavy time. Because remember, if you're not good with the Lord, you're not going anywhere. You're not making it out of here. Facts. The Lord has so many judgments out here. For the wicked. It's gonna be action packed out here. And which I will send to destroy you. Right. So the Lord's coming to destroy. Okay, kill. Okay, the Lord is going to starve people out. He's going to have these sleeper cells real soon be activated. People will go inside guillotines. That's part of judgment. Okay, that's part of judgment. You see civil war out here in America, the draft in World War III. Okay, as you can see right now, things are escalating between, Russia, the U.S., Iran, China, Japan. Okay. All right, so all these wars are just going to get bigger and bigger. So, that draft in America is going to be very soon. Very soon, because these wars are just going to escalate. They're just going to escalate and get bigger and bigger until our Lord gets here. You see? And I will increase the famine upon you and will break your staff of bread. Right. Because the Lord is going to, shut this place completely down. All right. He's going to, however he may have it, with these elites, putting these people out here on, martial law, more lockdowns. Okay, you got more viruses coming down the pike. That's pestilence. All right, the black horse. All right, so the first pandemic that happened, 2019, 2020, that's just the beginning. You got a lot more of those coming down the pike. A lot more. See, verse 17. So will I send upon you famine and evil beast. Right. Newly created creatures. All right. You're going to see more in the news that, bears, mountain lions, wolves are going to be attacking people out here. Even the birds. All right. Because the animals, the Lord controls the animals, So the Lord's gonna have an amped up spirit on these animals, and is going to attack them. Okay, the wicked. Okay, so the animals out here are even gonna attack the wicked out here. Yeah, it's gonna be something. You know, you imagine some people getting caught out here by bears. You know, bears they totally because bears are not like lions. They lions they go for your neck right away. They just take you out like immediately. Bears they'll play with you. They'll like rip your arm off. They'll bite your leg a little bit. They'll completely torture you before they actually like kill you. You know? Yeah. You see, yeah, because bears will completely torture you before it's all said and done. So the Lord right here, right? We're reading about it. Ezekiel chapter 5 verse 17. So will I send upon you famine and evil beast. Yeah, because not only that, but the Lord has newly created creatures that this world hasn't even seen. The Lord has dragons. Absolutely. All right. That's something that there's a lot of stuff on this earth and beyond this earth that people haven't seen before. That the Lord, that Yahweh Bashim Shai is going to unleash. Yep. Yeah, we're entering a time of harsh, brutal judgments. Okay, this is why those are the hopeful elect. Yeah, we're hoping to be, we're hoping to be, to have mercy from the Lord. Because what the Lord's bringing ain't no joke. And they shall bereave thee, and pestilence, and blood shall pass through thee. Yeah, because there's going to be a whole lot of blood spilling out here. A whole lot. And I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, have spoken it. So, the Lord's going to bring the sword, meaning what? Militaries, martial law, lockdowns. Okay? He's going to have these, the elites activate these sleeper cells out here. These UN troops. Absolutely. So that is going to, Civil War. All right. World War III. Remember, America's known in the scriptures as the virgin daughter of Babylon. So it's because why is that? Well, for those of you just coming into the faith, it's because America's never been invaded by a foreign troop. A foreign military. You see, those of you that don't know, okay, because those of you must say, well, Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was an inside job. All right, Pearl Harbor was an inside job. All right, but it's Russia and China and their allies, Iran and these Arab nations, they are going to invade this place heavy. America, they're going to invade America very heavy. Also, there's a lot of sleeper cells that are already here. You're talking millions. Okay, there's a lot of sleeper cells here in America. All right, we're talking a whole lot. A lot. See? So, once this time, once the Lord starts to unleash these things, if you're not covered by the Lord, man, it's going to be a very terrible, a very, very terrible time. You see, and the only thing that can protect you is the Lord and his angels. You know, those people who are preppers, you're only going to last so long, because you got teams out there and stuff, but you guys are only going to last so long. Some of you are just going to last a little bit longer than others, but, yeah, you're only going to last so long, you see? Some of you that guys out there that have, like big old teams and stuff like that, um, it's only a matter of time. You might last a little bit longer than the other team, but remember the Lord and the angels, they're actually coming. And no one's gonna get away from them. You see, so it's just gonna be Behemoth. The Lord's gonna release Behemoth, Leviathan. There's a lot of creatures at the bottom of the sea. There's a whole lot of creatures down there. Yeah, that this world has never seen. How many of you guys ever seen that movie Godzilla? All right, that creature actually exists, but he's much bigger in size. He's much greater in size than they show in that movie. But that's a good depiction just to kind of get your brains going, because that creature he really exists. And his name is Leviathan. And he lives at the bottom of the ocean. Yep, and he has cousins too. He's not the only one. You see? Ezekiel. Let me see here. Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 15. The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. Yeah, pestilence. There's gonna be, more viruses coming down the pipe. There's more variants out there. Bill Gates told you out of his own mouth, that if the first one didn't get your attention, the second one will. Because we're entering a time where, you're gonna see actual bodies hitting the floor. And all this, like police officers out here, emergency services, EMS, fire trucks. Okay, they're all gonna be stopped too real soon, because it's gonna be so bad out here that people are just gonna be home, just trying to protect their families, for whatever time that is, till however long they last. Because what's coming to the soils of America is all-out war on all fronts. All fronts. You see? So it's going to be a lot of house invasions, many people getting captured, kidnapped. You're going to have even people eating people, because there's going to be no more food out here. So cannibalism's coming in a major way. You imagine that? The left-hand side, they do that, yeah, because they're satanic, But people out here, imagine that people are going to have to resort to eating another human being, because there's going to be no more food out here. Nothing coming in or out, Just take a look around these cities, these big cities in America. Look at look how much food's in that grocery store, Then look at how many grocery stores there are in a city. Okay, then look at how many people are around that city. So without the trucks, without the, those trucks, those big rigs, that is the lifeline of America. And those things have to keep on running nonstop in order to keep this place going. It's nonstop. It's nonstop. So that's why when those trucks stop, people, you're gonna run out of food out here very fast, very fast. Because there's only so much food in those grocery stores. You see, there's only so much food in those grocery stores. You see, they studies say that they have around 3 days worth of groceries, food in those grocery stores. Yeah, that's when civilized is calm. All right, but once people realize that there's no more food coming in or out, these grocery stores are gonna be war zones. Okay, these grocery stores are gonna be ransacked in the matter of minutes. Okay, probably within the 2 hours, that grocery store will be completely emptied out. And there's gonna be a lot of bodies in the parking lot. Because the last people who get food who are trying to make it out of the parking lot, they're gonna get taken out. Unless they have heavy weaponry, and they can move like Rambo. You know, because remember, you're not gonna be the only ones trying to feed you and your families. You know, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He that is in the field shall die with the sword. Yes, so a lot of people that are out there, like in the field, these open fields or mountains. You know, remember, there's a lot of high tech military that's out here. You might be shot down by drones, robots, helicopters. Because remember, it's not just gonna be, you know, like civilians with guns attacking each other. No, you're gonna remember you have super soldiers here. Okay, you have grade A military killers, hunters here. What grade A technology. With invisible suits, drones. How is like your average citizen that just buys a rifle and the AK-47? How are you gonna go against that? You know, see, because remember the left hand side, the New World Order. Okay, well they're pushing for the New World Order because remember they have their own super soldiers out here too. They have clones, androids that don't even get tired. You know, yeah. It's very real. You have top tier soldiers here. From China, Russia. Yeah. So there's gonna be a lot of different there's a lot of different militaries here. You got the UN here. Okay, the UN here is deep. The blue helmets, shoot, they're here deep. See? So it's not just gonna be all right, honey. Take care of the children and the kids. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go look for some food. Hold it down. Nah. Because super soldiers, like Navy SEALs, Marines, they're gonna be getting taken out here. People who are trained killers. So imagine your average day citizen out here who, barely, just barely knows how to fight a little bit because you're not training every day for combat and shit. What do they call that? To fight urban warfare and all that. Because your average Joe out here, your average citizen, is not trained for all that. Sure, they may go to the range every now and then, shoot off their shoot their yeah, because some of you out there because some of you out there, you guys go to shooting ranges here and there, but you're not training. Yeah, some of you guys can hit a target, right? But what if a lot of you guys haven't trained for bullets to be coming right back at you? It's different when you're just standing there and you're trying to hit a target that's not moving. Okay, well, how about trying to hit a target, but trying to hit a super soldier? And not only that, remember, these super soldiers, they're gonna have guns in their hands too, trying to kill you too. So you gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. It's not just, all right, I'm gonna shoot my gun and just try to be a tough ass and say, yeah, they better not come on my lawn. Remember, they got missiles. Okay, they got drones, invisible suits, clones. Terminators. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot that these militaries have. They're very advanced now. See, but the hopeful elect are going to be protected from that. The hopeful elect, because remember the angels are out here. The angels are out here 24/7 and are going to protect the hopeful elect. All right, and this is what this is what the hopeful elect. We have our faith in that the Lord is going to protect us. We're trusting in the Lord that if we believe the Lord and serve the Lord diligently, that He's going to help us. This is what He told us. So this is what we have our faith in. He that is in the field shall die with the sword. Yeah, because a lot of people that say, okay, well, I got my rifle, and let's say they have like a shed full of rifles and a shotgun. Yeah, your dad, these people, like their dad, their uncles, they may know how to shoot and stuff, but what are they going to do against a small team that has helicopters, missiles, drones, stuff like that, Sure, your family members, they may be pretty handy with the rifle, but remember, there's teams out here. Teams, okay, with very, very advanced military weaponry. Extremely advanced. Oh, yeah. And he that is in the city, all right, because here we go, the cities, man. These big cities such as Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Dallas, okay, they're going to be, it's going to be very devastating, Las Vegas, okay, yeah, famine and pestilence shall devour them, because these big cities like this, a lot of people are going to starve, a lot of people, because in these big cities like this, there's a lot of mouths to feed, there's a lot of people out here, a lot, there's a lot of mouths to feed, and especially in these cities, outside in the country, at least, like country land, at least like you'll have like some orange trees and some vineyards, a little bit here and there, Sometimes people will have some animals, a few cows, a few goats, whatever, a few chickens, people that live, like out in the farmland, out in the outskirts. All right, but that's only a little. All right, and these cities, you very well know, because these cities are concrete jungles. There's no fruit trees. There's no animals here. You may have a few dogs, a few cats, but there's not really food here, The only food that's here is inside these stores. All right, so it's gonna be very, very bad. Okay, it's gonna be very, very bad here. Extremely bad, because these cities, all there is just stores, These cities were created just for conveniency and just to consume, Just buy this, cell phone store, buy some jewelry, whatever, But remember, like these stores, these pizza shops, taco stands, they only have so much food inside those stores. And these stores, these small restaurants, they depend on those deliveries, weekly, without those, those of you guys out there that work like in, small restaurants or whatever, you guys know, those deliveries are very important, because how fast of those of you that work at restaurants and stuff like that, how fast does the product, run out? You run out fast, All right. All right. You run out of supplies, right away, So without those trucks coming in or out, there's gonna be no more food left in these cities. So in this second lockdown, which is coming, all right, remember, it's gonna be very devastating, very bad. Because there's gonna be no more food in these cities. Look how much people were panicking just because there was no more toilet paper, our hand sanitizer. You know? Alright, how much more when there's no more food out here? Okay, you know, who are the people going to turn to? You see, but that's when, in that day, because the Lord's not mocked. Let me get that scripture. Because right now, you know, people are blaspheming the Lord, you know, and the Lord is just having everything. All right, the Lord is having you know, the wicked. You guys add up your tab, and so when the Lord, you know, brings these hard judgments, it's gonna be real bad, you know, because the Lord's not mocked. Galatians chapter 6 verse 7. Be not deceived. The Most High Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Right. Okay, so those of you that don't believe in the Lord, and especially those of you that are coming up against the ministry, all right, man, you know, it's gonna be very bad for you out here. Very bad. You know, hey, you know, you reap what you sow. Straight up. You see? You know, you reap what you sow. So this is you know, it's a very, you know, it's a very heavy time that we're entering, you know, because there's a lot of people out there that, you know, that don't believe in the Lord and that don't trust in the Lord, you know, and their end's gonna be very painful, you know. So with that, that's it on today's lesson on famine. And remember, you know, trust in the Lord, and the Lord's going to guide you in these times. You know, because you got to remember, we're coming to a time that, you know, there's going to be no more work out here. You know, there's going to be no more food out here. So this society, as this world knows it, you know, is going to be completely shut down. Completely. You know, so if you're not covered by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, it's only a matter of time before your end. So with that, that's it on today's lesson on famine. Okay, those of you in the faith, you know, on your feet, soldier. All right, strive for the masteries. You know, pray, be patient, and stay in the spirit, and stay in prophecy. Remember that. Stay focused, and do what's pleasing unto the Lord. Always. And the Lord's going to make a way. Always. So with that, Shalom. On your feet, soldier. Shalom.